Yep, I'll follow your lead.
You excited?
I am. I'm very excited.
Is this like your biggest moment in
Yeah,
television?
yeah. I'm hoping this really leads to something for me.
Maybe. I'll give you a few tips afterwards.
Okay, sure.
Hello and welcome to the good, the bad and the ridiculous on day 2 of the Boxing Day test. And I'm very excited to be joined by one of my favourite people to watch cricket with, who is, of course, very well known here in Australia. Presents a project for Channel 9. It's always on Offsiders.
Channel 10. Channel 10.
A big channel in Australia. and on another big channel in Australia, he's always on Offsiders. And is at every test, aren't you, that you ever get an opportunity to cover?
Anytime I can be there, if I'm in the country where the test match is being played, I'll be there. So, yeah.
Big test. Did you enjoy today?
Yeah, I did actually. It was quite gripping, I thought. And you know what I like to think? If you took away yesterday and you just took the score from today, I think you would say it's actually relatively evenly balanced. India's probably got the upper hand, but yesterday means that India's in a really dominant position, and they batted really well, and I don't think Australia bowled that badly, certainly in the first couple of sessions, so that's a really good day's test cricket.
Okay, well, from your observations today, we're going to go through the nominations.
Okay, yes. I'm excited about this.
You're excited? Okay.
I like this.
Okay, so Tom Godfrey nominates for good Rahane, best knock by a stand-in captain after your team was rinsed for 36 a week ago. I can't remember a team being rinsed 36 a week ago and then what the captain did, but I think that's a fairly solid nomination.
It's a niche category,
Yeah.
but it's definitely the winner in that category. I think it might be the best knock by a captain in a few other categories as well. It was a really, really good knock, and he brings up that 100 with that great cut shot outside off, which in some ways was an uncharacteristic shot for the innings. He'd kind of put that away a little bit. When I just close my eyes and think about the innings, it was very straight, it was very safe. He did get dropped twice, we should acknowledge that, once on the way to 100 and once after. But it was a quality innings from a quality player in what could have been a very tricky situation, because the Australian bowlers, particularly Pat Cummins, were on fire early.
In any context, that was an amazing innings, but in the context of them getting rinsed for 36, and not just that. Remember, it was Rahane who got Kohli run out, and then his feet were mired in cement a little bit later when he got out. So that in itself is an incredible context, I suppose, for that innings. It's definitely, it goes beyond niche, Tom Godfrey, beyond niche, but a very good nomination.
It's also the best 100 by a standing captain, having run out the full-time captain in the previous test. I think it's definitely in that category as well.
Okay, we might have to expand the show with a few more categories.
All right, excellent.
Now, it's Srinu. We've got 2 here. He says, ridiculous, Pant getting out playing a reckless shot. Should have played a lot longer. While Sagar Patel says, good Rishab Pant's cameo. Rahane's intent changed after his arrival and stayed that way since.
What was great was watching you debate this in the press box. Do you want to take us through that?
Okay, look, I might have been... People know that I'm a supporter of Rishab Pant.
Yeah.
So I was very excited to see him do well, and others in the press box who may have been dissing him a little bit. No names, Bharat Sundaresan. I was having my time back again. So, and then I went through the emotions of him getting out. Did you see when he got out as well? He actually walked back. It was like seeing a school kid. His bat was literally dragging on the grass as he walked back, and
yeah, and there was something about it, like on the walk back, suddenly it was like his bat was 3 times too big or something. Everything about him just seemed to shrink. And you're right, that school kid metaphor comparison is absolutely right. It was really, really exactly like that. But I actually really liked his innings. So I think you could say it was a bad shot, but he'd played his whole innings that way. And he changed the whole momentum of the game for me. You can have your arguments over whether or not that's ideal in that situation, whether or not you wanted someone to bat long. But Rahane was going really well. We've seen what Jadeja has done since. In the end, it's turned out to be a low-risk venture, and I think it actually changed. He was the only one to attack Cummins, wasn't he? The only one up to that point in the game.
Yeah.
He was the only one who'd done it. And after that, I don't think Cummins bowled as well.
Look, and sometimes in a test match, when it's low scoring and it's difficult, a quickish, 29 can do a lot of things. Clearly, I think we can all agree that Rahane's century is all down to Rishab Pant. Roy Pranoy suggests good Cummins, relentless and tireless. And Naman Sinha says, ridiculous and meticulous accuracy from Cummins. What I mostly like is the fact that Cummins is inspiring poetry from all of it.
Yes, that was a good ridiculnot
Yeah.
That's what that was.
That's the beauty of ridiculous, you see.
It can mean whatever you want it to mean.
Exactly.
Cummins is poetic, I think, as a fast bowler. Not all fast bowlers are, and I think he is. So it's appropriate that he inspires what you've just identified. And I mostly agree, although I think that the Indian batsman got to him late. I think he was not as much as other bowlers. I think Stark was more wayward, but I think they got to him a little bit towards the end of the day. They got on top of him.
That 8-over spell from him at the start of the day and the whole bowling attack then, that was incredible. That was one of his best spells, I reckon, ever. Was there a bad ball? I don't think there was a bad ball in there.
No, and on another day, India gets bowled out for 36.
Jeffro C says, ridiculous, that edge through vacant first slip. That's up there for ridiculous. How do you feel about vacant first slips?
I don't like vacant first slips. It feels like you're trying to have an extra fielder on the ground, and it's so. How often do you see this? How often would you say you've seen this in your life covering cricket?
I would say maybe 13.6 times.
Really, that seems very low to me. I don't know how you can see it 0.6 of a time, but sure. No, I feel like I see this all the time. I think you can outsmart yourself in the field, and that's one of those moments. Who knows? Maybe they had a plan they were specifically going for, but I don't know exactly what kind of a plan has a vacant first slip and a second slip in place.
Yeah.
And when you're working so hard to get those edges, as they had to today, they weren't just being given up in the way that they were in Adelaide. It's the worst possible outcome. Taking your catches helps as well.
I've actually got contacts at the MCC, and I intend to write a sternly worded email insisting that it actually be added to the laws that you can't have a vacant first slip. You can't have second slip and not have first slip.
I think it's a wonderful submission. The only rational explanation I can think of was COVID. It was a social distancing measure of some sort. It's the only thing I can think of.
Brilliant. We didn't. They were just being socially responsible. That makes it okay.
I'm pretty sure I saw Tim Payne do a QR code at some point.
Whenever you change fielding
yes,
positions.
and he hadn't tapped into the next zone, and so he couldn't. Yeah, that's what happened.
It makes so much more sense now. At Imprasad nominates Rahane's catch drop as ridiculous, while at Quick says maybe the catch dropping bug just turned from bad to ridiculous.
I think it did at the end. That, I gather, was written before he was dropped on the last ball, what turned out to be the last ball of the day, a catch that I think should have been taken. Yes, it was a diving attempt, but that should have been taken.
Travis had dived. He took it and held on to it, and it seemed like almost 2 seconds after he landed that it popped out.
Well, it didn't even pop out. It's like it just crawled out or something. Where I was sitting, that happened at my end, so I had the view from behind, and you could see the ball just trickle away without really knowing how it got there. In the first place, it was strange, wasn't it?
It was a very strange. Maybe what's happened is with all this sanitising of the ball, let's blame ball sanitisation along with social distancing for all of Australia's mishaps.
So we can say that if it weren't for COVID, India would be all out for 36.
Anna Forsyth suggests, I will accept, I think this is ridiculous, I will accept Australia calling Nathan Lyon Gary, Gaza Gaz, and yes, even Goat. I will not accept Tim Payne calling him Goaty Boy. I know it's 2020, but we have to have some standards. Now, I know you're a proud Victorian.
Yes.
And a huge football fan,
Yes.
as in AFL.
Yeah, yes.
The other football.
I like all football codes, actually.
Okay, so
but I am an AFL fan.
I can exclusively reveal that in the nets leading into this match, Matthew Mott on the Australian coaching team was giving throwdowns to Nathan Lyon, and at one point he said, "Oh, nice one, Gary," and then said, "Or should I say Cliffy?" The Great Cliff Lyons, for anyone who is from Victoria or anywhere else in the world, was one of the great Manly rugby league legends. Nathan Lyon is from New South Wales, where rugby league rules. I'm starting a campaign to change his nickname to Cliffy. It's definitely better than Goaty Boy.
It's not bad. It's a good suggestion by you. Also,
for a change.
No, that's not. Hang on. Can I make it clear that was your inference? I had never said that or intended that. I think it's especially apposite at this time when the Northern Beaches are in lockdown.
Yes.
Yes, which I don't know if that's a global story or just something that occupies the minds of a handful of Australians. But at the moment, I think anything that gestures in the direction of Manly would be a good thing. I think this is a very, very good idea.
What's your winner for the good for today?
A winner for the good. We didn't have anyone. Oh no, we did. I'm going to say Rahane's innings. You have to, don't you? You can't really go past that.
If you didn't say that, I would have overruled you.
Well, second, you would say Cummins' first spell. I think you could say. Or third, here's one that wasn't mentioned, but I'm not going to give it to this because it wasn't nominated. But I think it deserves a mention. I think the pitch.
Oh, yeah, yep.
Can we give a shout out to the pitch?
A big shout out to the pitch.
Yeah, especially in Melbourne, and I don't know how much our viewers have been following Melbourne Test specifically.
Oh, they follow.
Right, so the Melbourne pitch has had its problems. There was a little tremor that Melbourne might actually lose its Test match status at one point because of that pitch, especially in the Ashes series recently when Cook scored, I think, 7,000 or 8,000.
Yeah, he's still batting. He's still batting somewhere.
Yeah, it's just every other player has retired. So, I mean, after that, I think there was always this question mark about the MCG pitch and what it would do. I think this is just about the perfect Test pitch. Yeah. It's got something in it. Nathan Lyon ripped a delivery just after lunch today. Remember that? And it turned a mile.
Yeah.
And it went for byes. And I think at that moment you thought, well, firstly, Australia are done because what's
Ashwin
what's going to happen when Ravi Ashwin gets involved? But it's just got everything. And the pacemen have something, but the batsmen, when they dig in, they can really prosper. We've seen that with Rahane. So I think the pitch deserves a shout out, but I'm giving it to Rahane.
Okay, that's the right answer. You're doing well so far.
Thank you.
So the baddest thing from today?
I think the baddest thing is the fielding. I think that's really cost them. Dropping Rahane twice. I know he got to his 70s before he was dropped, but that's costly and two very, very, very takeable chances. I think that's my bad.
Yeah, that's also a good shout. You're doing very, very well. Only one to go. Okay. The ridiculousest.
Well, I have to go with Goatee because that's what's been nominated. If I was going to nominate my own, it would be something I didn't think I would ever see in my life at the MCG, and that is well, I suppose it still is Bay 13, is currently now populated by Indian supporters. Now, for anyone who remembers cricket in the Merv Hughes, Dean Jones era, they would know that was once unthinkable. And today, I actually saw the security officers come into Bay 13, remove an Australian supporter who I presume was drunk, to the cheer of Indian supporters. And I thought, this was unimaginable. This would never have none of those combinations of things, apart from the arresting of a drunk Australian supporter, is something that you would have imagined could happen. So for that, to see India dominate Bay 13 as much as they are dominating the Test match, and then send off an Australian supporter who's probably in the back of a divvy van, as they say, this is one of the most remarkable things I've seen at the MCG.
So. You can award that. Is that your ridiculous?
All right, I'm going to give it that. I think that deserves to be the most. Is it ridiculous? I think it's ridiculous.
It can be ridiculously good, bad, or ridiculously ridiculous.
Well, just ridiculously unhistorical, I think, is what it is. So I'm going to give it to that.
Okay, I approve of all of your choices. Thank you so much for coming down, and good luck with the career. Hopefully someone will pick you up someday.
Yeah, let's hope so. Thank you.